Hello everybody, Miss Lowe here. I've got a lovely activity planned for you. We are going to make a bug house. Now the things that you are going to need is something to make your bug house in. I've got a old food tin here which I've taken the label off and I've given it a clean, and I've made sure that the inside of my bug house is not sharp at all, so I filed that down with a little bit of sandpaper. So just be careful to make sure that you've got no sharp edges in your bug house. Next thing you need is something to decorate the outside of your bug house. Now I've got lots of different coloured wool here. Okay, so think about what sort of colours you'd like on your bug house. What you also need is lots of different material to put inside your bug house. So I've got some toilet roll innards here. I've got some straws. I've got some black paper straws. I haven't gone for plastic. Okay, so thinking about our bugs and the environment. I've got some card here, just some ordinary card from an old box. And I've also got lots and lots of twigs and leaves and moss from my garden. Okay, lots of dried leaves, lots of dried twigs. I'm having to do it inside. I'm hoping you'll be able to do yours outside because it is absolutely thrashing it down with rain here. I've also got some boggly eyes for my bug house as well. You could make your own eyes if you don't have this, just with a little bit of paper, and you could draw your own eyes on. So don't worry too much if you haven't got something like this. So the first thing that you need to do is cover your bug house with whatever colour you want. Now I think I'm going to go for two different types of green because I think I want mine to look a little bit like a caterpillar. So what I want to do is I'm going to get my wool and I'm just going to start winding that around my bug house. Okay, so just making sure that I'm covering all of those metal bits with my wool. So I'm just winding that straight off my roll of wool all the way around. So I'm going to cover my bug house with this lovely green wool. I haven't had to tie it because I've held the end of it with my finger. So I haven't actually had to use anything to keep this in place just yet. So I'm going to do it all the way up to this lip. Okay, I'm leaving the lip on the edge. I don't know if you can see, just to keep my string in place. Because if I try to get too close, that's just going to come off, isn't it? So just be really careful just to make sure you're going all the way up to that edge. Okay, I think I'm happy with that first band of green. So I'm going to get some scissors and I'm just going to cut my wool. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So that's my first green. I think I'm happy with that amount of my first green. I'm then going to get my second colour of green, which is a slightly different green to my first. If I can find the end of it. Okay, and then I'm going to start wrapping that around. Now, if you notice, I have got this piece of wool from my other green, which I'm just going to hold with my finger in place. And then as I start to wind my second green over, if I hold both of those and cover it over, I don't know if I can show you, hold on. If I hold that in place and just cover that over with the other piece of string, as I start to wind it, that will hold that piece in place. Let me wind a couple of bits on and then I can show you what I mean. So if you see that I've wound my new piece over my old piece just to keep that in place. So I'm going to finish winding my tin and then I'm going to come back to you to the next step. Okay, so I have now fully covered my tin with my coloured wool. So I've gone for 2 strips of my bright green and 2 strips for my darker green. Now, we've got this last piece here on the end, haven't we? Which we are going to need to make sure that we secure that down, otherwise that's going to come off. So you can either use some glue. So I've just got a Pritt stick here. You may have some of your PVA glue and I'm just going to glue over the top. I'm going to put quite a lot of glue over the top because I don't want that to come off. Okay, so I'm really going to glue that down just to make sure that that does not lift off and ruin my design, okay? You could also use some spray glue if you have any. So I've got a little bit here. So you could spray a little bit of glue over the top of the whole tin, just to give that a protective film, okay? So the main thing is to make sure that your piece of string is fully glued down, okay? And it should hold it in place, just with some normal glue, a Pritt stick or anything that you've got. Okay, so that's my first part. The next thing is I want mine to look a little bit like a caterpillar, don't I? So I'm going to stick the eyes on my caterpillar, but I'm going to do that at the end when I'm finished, okay? To make sure that they don't pop off when I'm filling that with all of my bits and pieces for my bugs. So what do I need to fill my bug house with for my bugs? The first thing that I'm going to use is I'm going to use 2 of these toilet rolls. Now what I need to do is I need to cut up the edge of these rolls. Okay, like so, and I've done this one already. Now what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to use these to line the inside of my bug house. Okay, so I've trimmed these to the same size as my tin. So you want to make sure that your pieces of card fit perfectly inside your tin. Now a good way to do that is to pop it inside and just check the length and mark it off either with a pen or just cut it straight off. So I'm going to pop those inside of my bug house, just to line that inside for them. So it'll be lovely and cozy and warm for them. Okay, so inside there I've got my card, which is lining my bug house. The next thing I want to do is think about different materials that I can put inside of my bug house, my bugs. So I think once I've now lined my bug house with these 2 pieces of card, I think what I would like to do is actually pop some of my dry materials inside of my bug house, just to start layering those up. Now I've got all sorts of different things here in my thing. I've got some really lovely big dried leaves with some sticks on the end. I've got some normal dry leaves, and I've also got some lovely moss. Okay, this time of year is great to find things. So you can either find those in your garden, or you can go for a walk in the woods and see what things that you can find. So I'm just going to now start packing the sides of my bug house with some of my lovely leaves. Okay, so I'm just going to start filling that up with my leaves. So I'm only doing a thin layer because I'm going to put other things in my bug house as well. But bugs love these types of materials, don't they? And they thrive off this. So I'm going to make sure that I've got one lovely layer of leaves inside my bug house. Okay, so you see all my leaves in here. I've got my cardboard. As I pack that out, that cardboard is going to keep lovely and secure in there. So I've got my leaves in there. So the next thing is I think I'm going to put some of these paper straws. So again, I've put my straw inside and I've pre-cut these. So I've popped it inside and then I've trimmed them so they're the right length. So you may need to trim your straws. You can just use any paper straw. It's really important to use paper ones though, because they're biodegradable. If you use the plastic ones and your jar starts to degrade, then you're going to have lots of plastic in your garden. So try and get the paper ones if you can. So again, I'm just going to pop a few of these inside my bug house, just for somewhere for my bugs to bury inside. So it doesn't matter where you put them. I'm not putting them in neatly at all. I'm just popping them in because we're going to pack this full. So I've got some straws in there. I think what I'm going to do next is use some of these lovely twigs. So again, I'm going to get my twig and just measure it against my bug house. Give that a cut and just pop some of those lovely twigs in there as well. So again, measure my stick against my bug house and I'm just going to snip it off at the top. Okay. I'm going to keep filling my bug house now with lots of my materials and my stick. Okay, so my bug house is really coming along now. I'm really starting to get that full. So I've got lots of lovely sticks in there. I've got some of my dried leaves. I can use some of this lovely moss to fill in some of my other gaps, because bugs absolutely love this sort of thing. So I'm really packing my bug house full. Okay, and you can see how that cardboard has now come all the way around the edge, hasn't it? And it's not bunched in like it was before. So make sure you've fully packed your bug house. So I can probably get a little bit more in mine. It's really important that your leaves are lovely and dry as well. So I'm just crunching mine up and just sticking those in any little gap that I can find. I think I'm pretty happy with my bug house. It's looking lovely and full. Okay, the reason it needs to be full is I don't want any of this lovely stuff to fall out of my bug house. Okay, so make sure that it is full to the brim, because if not, everything's just going to fall out of the top of your bug house. I could probably get one more stick inside mine, I think. So these are all natural things that we have been able to find from our garden. Okay, so lots and lots of lovely sticks and things for the bugs to live in. Okay, so I'm just making sure that mine is completely full. I can probably get a tiny bit more moss in mine just to make that full to the brim. There we go. I think I am happy with that. Okay, so there is my bug house full of leaves and sticks. So I'm just going to trim off anything that's poking out of the top of my bug house. All right, and I've got a lovely full bug house of things for my bugs to be happy in. So the next thing I need to do is think about sticking my eyes to my bug house so it looks like a caterpillar. So I've got some of these boggly eyes, okay? Like I said, if you don't have these, you can make your own eyes using paper and a pen. And again, I'm going to pop a little bit of extra glue on the top of mine just to make sure that they stay in place. So I'm going to pop 2 eyes on the top of mine because I really want that to look like a caterpillar. Okay, so I've got 2 caterpillar eyes on top of my bug house. You notice nothing's coming out of the bottom of my bug house as it is really full. Okay, now I don't want to just lay this down on the floor because that's going to get really wet and mushy, isn't it? So I need to think about how am I going to secure my bug house to a plant, and I want to maybe hang that down just a little bit lower so they can get inside. So I could just use some of my thread that I used to cover my bug house. So I'm going to get some of this lovely dark green thread, cut off quite a good length. Okay, so we can wrap it round and give that a good secure fitting. So I'm just going to wrap that around the middle of my bug house. So I'm going to wrap it around there once, and then I'm going to get it and I'm going to tie it at the top. Okay, so here are my 2 threads, and I'm just going to give that a lovely notch at the top. Okay, I'm going to give that a double knot to make sure that it is really secure. One for luck. Brilliant. Like I've just done there, make sure your knot is really secure at the bottom. Okay, so I've got a knot here at the top, which is going to hold it onto my tree, isn't it? But I also need to knot it here at the bottom where my bug house is to make sure that that stays in place, don't I? So again, I'm going to pull it really tight against my bug house. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to twist. Okay, I'm going to twist, twist, twist. Just get my string. You might need to get someone to help you do this because it's a bit tricky on your own, as you've just seen. me struggling to do this on my own. So give that a really good twist until that gets lovely and tight. Okay, so I have decided I'm going to show you a different way to stick that on, and it's fine because this shows you that things don't always go to plan. So I want to try and tie mine again because I wasn't quite happy with how mine was tying up and it felt a little bit uneven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my bug house and I'm going to get my piece of string. Okay, I'm going to wrap it around the same colour so you can't see it on the other colour. So I've got my piece of string firstly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie that into a knot. I can hold it up and show you. So I'm going to tie that. You can see that here. So I'm going to tie that now onto the top into a knot. Okay, so on the top of my bug house, making sure that it's lining up in the middle so it's nice and even. So I'm tying that into a knot there on the top. So I'm going to secure it to my bug house straight away. Okay, so I hope you can see this. So I'm going to do another knot. I'm going to try and keep it really tight. You can get someone to help you hold your knots lovely and tight with their finger. Okay, because this is quite tricky doing this bit on your own. So making sure it's still lovely and tight. I'm going to tie my second knot. Okay, excellent. So I'm happy with that. I've got a lovely secure knot on my bug house. That's not going anywhere, is it? Okay, this is where you can then tie up the top. All right, so I'm going to get one length of my string and I'm just going to wrap that round my bug house just to make sure that I'm really happy that that's nice and secure. Okay, I'm then going to get the two ends of my bug house. Okay, I'm going to tie another knot in mine, just a single knot, just to make sure that they are both connected before I tie that together. All right, do a second knot. All right, just to really secure that in place. I don't want this bug house going anywhere when I'm tying this outside. And I've got to think about, is the wind going to make this spin around? Okay, so I'm going to pull my second knot lovely and tight. Excellent. So I'm really happy now that I know that that is not going anywhere. Okay. I need to then make sure that my knot at the top is secure. Okay, so this is where I'm then going to get my knot and I'm just going to loop it around and make that into a lovely double knot. So there's one knot, which is here. And I'm going to just pop another one over the top just to make sure that my string is lovely and secure. Okay, so I'm going to cut off any excess that I've got that I don't want on my knots. Don't cut it too close to the knot, otherwise you're going to lose it, aren't you? Okay, make sure your eyes are still in place. You may have knocked them off like I have, tying in your thread to hang it. Make sure you've still got your eyes on your bug house, and there you have it. Your very own caterpillar bug house with eyes to hang outside for your happy bugs to live in. I've just brought you outside really quickly just to show you where I'm going to put my bug house. So I don't know if you can see, but I have tied my bug house, if I turn you around, just to one of the bushes in my garden. And I'm hoping that all those lovely bugs will make their way into there. So I hope you enjoy making your bug house. Stay warm and dry, and please share them with me. I'd love to see them.